Gray Man is from directors Joe and Anthony Russo of Marvel fame. Joe also wrote it along with Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who also wrote a bunch of Marvel movies, based on the novel by Mark Greaney. It stars Ryan Gosling as an extremely secretive government operative who finds evidence that a major CIA agent is corrupt, so that agent hires Chris Evans with a mustache to take him down. This movie is the most expensive Netflix movie ever, with a budget of around $200 million. And while it doesn't feel like a blockbuster in the way that something like your average Marvel flick does, it does have a much bigger scope than your average Netflix movie, taking place in many cities around the world and staging elaborate action set pieces. The action is kind of the high point here. It's in the vein of the action movies that re-emerged in the wake of John Wick, where one guy goes up against an army of people by himself, and there's also a scene involving a tram that feels like something out of a Michael Bay movie, and I mean that in a good way. He's not directing Transformers movies anymore, so now it's okay for the internet to say his name in a positive light. The action here really pushes the limits of the PG-13 rating. If you thought the violence was going to feel toned down from other R-rated movies of its kind, this is another one of the instances where the MPAA really doesn't give a shit about anything outside of their weird rules. But once again, it's a Netflix blockbuster, and so it pretty much feels like the poor man's Mission Impossible. The story isn't bad, but it's pretty forgettable, and the ending doesn't really feel like an ending, just an opener to another sequel. This isn't a complete story, and that's a major problem, especially if they never make another one. But whatever, people are really only here to see these two actors go up against each other, and you get that here. It's not the best action movie, it's not the best Netflix movie, it's not even the best of Netflix's attempt at a blockbuster, but it's still a fun time.
Shall I wrap that for you, sir?
Oh, that's all right. My saucer's just outside.
They come from miles to enjoy our intermission.
Thinking of going into this house. Don't. If you are thinking of opening this door, don't.
So, do we have another movie to talk about this week? Nope. From writer and director Jordan Peele, this one is about the owners of a horse ranch near Hollywood who noticed a lot of weird alien activity and tried to get evidence of it. I know Peele's work is usually full of social commentary, so I googled what this one was about. I got a bunch of things with multiple interpretations saying it's an allegory for everything from filmmaking to capitalism to the cruelty of show business, to preserving black history. Basically, unlike his other films, this isn't a direct allegory to one thing. But this still maintains the quality of his previous work, except now on a bigger scale. Basically, Peele proved himself to be a money machine for Universal, so they gave him a bigger budget and an IMAX release and told him to do whatever the hell he wants. And it's one of his most effects-heavy, but still manages to be very effective. There are some genuinely disturbing sequences in the second act. The villain could rank among the better recent horror creatures this side of A Quiet Place. And also some good comic relief, but not as much as you would expect from a movie that seems to be named after seeing something scary and just saying nope. There's one event that happens in flashbacks and is given a lot of time, but doesn't really seem to be related to anything else. The way it was portrayed so much left me waiting for when it would cross over with the rest of the story, but it never did. But really, it's okay to just focus on what really only relates thematically, even if it is seemingly unrelated to the rest of the movie. Besides, this subplot has one of the most tense scenes in the entire movie. And in the third act, that's when we truly see the budget, when it lets go of the eeriness for a fast-paced, effects-heavy horror climax. But it still fits in with the rest of the movie, and despite the fact that it's not as subtle as horror purists will probably want, when it happens, you kinda buy into it. You got a threatening villain, and the protagonist take it head on. That's really all you need for a horror climax. Peele has not only started his directing career with 3 good movies in a row, he started it with 3 great ones. This is an exceptional sci-fi horror with good social commentary and a lot of Spielbergian spectacle. This is Gordy. He'll get angry if you don't consider joining my Patreon. And trust me, you don't want him to get angry.